What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I haven't really been doing too many tablet reviews this year, at least in 2019, really only phone things. I kind of want to branch out and do more tablet things like I did last year. I'm talking Samsung tablets, Nexus tablets, the Google ones they made, whatever those ones are called, the Pixel Cs, and of course, my fellow iPads. I've only done one or two, I think, this year. So now we're going to do the iPad Mini 2. We're going to do a double ISY on it. We're going to do it. Is it still worth it? I haven't even said double ISY in like a week or two. I don't even know why I started this series if I didn't even call it. Now, the playlist I made is actually called Double ISY, I think. So that's probably why I haven't even mentioned it or whatever. But I haven't updated that playlist in like a couple weeks. I will update that very, very soon. But we're going to be talking about the iPad Mini 2, seeing how it holds up in 2019, running iOS 12, and kind of looking at the future of it, seeing if you should still buy it now, whether you shouldn't, and everything like that. And I will say one thing I've noticed is that for a lot of devices out there, if you own the device that I'm talking about, most times than not, like, you can still keep the device, even if at the end I don't recommend it might still be useful for you. So that's kind of one thing you kind of have to keep in mind. Just because I say it's not worth it doesn't necessarily mean it's not worth it at all. I mean, that's kind of my sad story. I know nobody even cares about what I just said, but it is what it is. Now, this thing came out in 2013, so it's pretty old. It came out a month after the iPhone 5S came out, so I literally just did the iPhone 5S yesterday, so it's kind of funny I did both of them like side by side. So this, in a way, was like the iPhone 5S of tablets, but I think it was more so like the iPhone 6 of tablets. Even though this thing did have a lot of the same components inside as the iPhone 5S, there's some things that kind of reminisce me over to the iPhone 6 as well. But looking around the body, you can see that we have a pretty big 7.9-inch display. This was a Retina display. I own the iPad Mini 1 as well, and I can tell you there's quite a bit of difference between the iPad Mini 1 screen and the iPad Mini 2 screen. So that in and of itself at that time might have been a pretty big reason for people to upgrade, let alone the other improvements as well. Now, on the front, there is no Touch ID. We still have that standard home button, which is kind of funny to look at a tablet and, just picture it not even having Touch ID at all. I'm so used to having like my iPad Pro and my iPad Air 2. Those things have Touch ID, and even like my iPhone 6s and the iPhone 5Ss, those things have Touch ID. So I kind of find it weird that Apple went and released the iPhone 5S literally like a month before this and still was not able to put a Touch ID sensor on this tablet. Kind of weird, but that was like many, many years ago, so there's no point in even talking about that anymore. But I will say one thing that is really held up for this device is the build quality. This thing still feels like a very, very solid device, and I'll say that same thing to the iPad Mini 1. Those two devices really feel like pretty premium devices still, and that in and of itself might be one reason why people want to wonder if this is still worth it. And for some reason, this is always one of the videos, the iPad Mini 2, that people are always so interested in, and I always wondered why. And it might just be because it still looks like a pretty decent performing tablet, but sometimes, guys, looks can be deceiving, and I'll get into that in a second. Now, in terms of the software, this thing was actually released with iOS 7, which was a very, very long time ago. And iOS 7, actually, this is so off topic, was kind of like the redesign at the time. It was like a pretty big deal. It was pretty much like the standard iPhone OS that people knew about, whatever. But then iOS 7 came and kind of switched up what everyone thought about iOS, and it caused a lot of problems too. I remember being in class, and before I even had an iPhone, my teachers would be like, oh, I got an update for my iPhone, and it's making my phone so slow, this and that. And I even had like no idea what people were talking about because I didn't have an iPhone at the time. So it's kind of funny that things kind of turn around like that. But like I said, this thing is upgradable to iOS 12. Right now it's on 12.1.2, I believe. I'm pretty sure 12.1.3 is coming out today, the day this video is dropping. So I'm going to have like 20 videos dropping this day. But I will say that this thing definitely handles iOS 12 very, very strangely. Even iOS 11. I think I had an iPad Mini 2 on iOS 11 at one point as well. And I just don't know why Apple supported these things. I mean, I understand why. I'm not bitter about it. Really cool. Keep supporting older devices. But this device doesn't really seem to be handling iOS 12 all that well, iOS 11 that well either. But I think that has to more so do with the hardware. And I know why Apple did it is because they didn't want that sour taste of iOS 11 being in everyone's head. They want to just like move on from that, move on from that reputation. So they went ahead, released iOS 12. This thing was supported as well. I'll say that in terms of now, this thing is going to get updates up until June. I am 99, I'm going to say I'm 100% positive this thing is not going to get iOS 13. There's just no way. I think all phones with 1 gig of RAM are going to be out of date. They're not going to be supported anymore because iOS 13 is going to bring a lot of cool features. And I think for one reason, iOS 13 is going to take a lot of system memory in order to keep it running. But on top of that, I think Apple wants a more heavier performing device on their newest, latest version, and they want people to update more often so then they can make more money. So it would only make more sense for them to just discontinue the iPad minis and the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 6s in terms of software. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to tell you that iOS 13 is not going to come for the iPad Mini 2. Now, hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to see it, but but I just don't think they would do that. Now, in terms of the performance, this is the specs that we have inside of it. It has the Apple A7 chip, which was the same as the iPhone 5S, has a dual-core CPU, and it also has 1 gig of RAM. Now, it's kind of interesting because you're looking at this tablet and you're like, this thing can still probably perform pretty decent. Well, that is really not the case. This thing is pretty slow. I will say that it seems to me that it's slower than the iPhone 5S, and that might have to do with the screen itself. Because it is a higher resolution screen, it's a bigger screen, it has way more pixels to push overall, and I would probably say that this thing is very, very, very average use. I mean, this thing is like, if I had to, I could use it. I could probably get through, I guess, like typing papers on it or something, but if I actually had to use it day to day, I don't think I could. This thing is very, very laggy, very glitchy. It's not even just like random stuff here and there. It's not like, oh, there's a random glitch here, there's a random bug here. It's like every single time I use this thing, it's like super slow. And I'm not even that heavy of a user, I'll be honest. I know a lot of people are like, man, I'm a heavy user, I need this game to play all the time, and this, and I need to multitask. I honestly, like, I swipe out all my apps. I barely even multitask throughout the day. If I can load like Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter on it, that's all that really matters. And with a device like this, I don't think it's the worst thing ever, definitely. I mean, I guess it's kind of usable still, but it just really depends on what your usage is. If you're trying to get a tablet for your little kid, I don't think they're going to care. But if it's like a side tablet for your side chick or something like that, I don't know what's going to happen in that case. But, you know, even gaming and everything, I mean, just depending on what the game you play, casual games run perfectly fine-ish a little bit. Even that, I mean, I kind of have a hard time recommending it there too. But especially with the heavier intensive games, it really just depends what you play. I'll definitely say that the overall performance of this device is a very loose 4 out of 10. That might be going a little bit hard on it, especially because I'm kind of factoring in the year it was released too, but it's just kind of a strange little tablet this thing is in terms of performance. Now, switching to the camera, I'm going to quickly talk about this. I don't want to spend too much time on it. It has a 5 megapixel camera on the back. It has a 1.2 megapixel camera on the front. And that back camera can shoot 1080p at up to 30 frames per second. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it really doesn't have too many features going for it. I guess it takes photos. You know, it can take videos here and there too. So I guess if you need, for some reason, a tablet for making videos and stuff like that, or taking photos on, I guess the iPad Mini 2 will do you justice. And the front camera is 1.2 megapixels, like I said. You can shoot FaceTime videos on it. That's really all I would use it for. I don't think you would want to take selfies with a 7.9-inch massive screen with a super low megapixel count camera. So I'll leave that up to you. I would probably rate the camera on this thing like a 3.5 out of 10. And it's like, it'll get the job done, but really not much more after that. Now, here's actually one good thing about this tablet. It does have a 6,470 milliamp hour battery, which is fairly large. I know a lot of people have kind of said that, oh, the battery life has gotten down since iOS 11, since this and that. I honestly think since iOS 12, battery life has gone down for a lot of the iPhones, but for the tablets, especially for my iPads, I think I've gotten better battery life on my iPad since iOS 12, and I think this device fits that narrative as well. I think the iPad Mini 2 seems to be a pretty good tablet in terms of battery life when it's on iOS 12. When it was on iOS 11, I was having a lot of problems, but iOS 12 came around, fixed a lot of things, and even though it's still not perfect, it kind of messed up on a lot of things too. I think it fixed a lot of battery life issues for the iPad specifically, not for the iPhones, but for the iPads. And even before, I mean, over 6,000 milliamp hours, that's a pretty big size battery. So this thing, I will say, will handle you just fine if you need to take it with you for a couple of days. Pretty sure you'll be able to use it without it just randomly dying on you or something. Really, the only way I could even imagine this thing just like randomly like just dying on you is if the battery health is really, really deteriorated on one. I've seen some phones even that the battery health is down to like 60% after like a couple of years, and this thing has been out for a while. And I don't know too much about replacing batteries on iPads. I know replacing the screens on certain iPads are a pain. I have an iPad 2 that I've been just like waiting to repair the screen on, but every day just seems worse and worse. I don't feel like doing it, and I just keep getting more and more lazy. I'll probably end up doing it one day, make a video about it, but that thing is just so hard to take apart, and I feel like this iPad could be the same way too. Now I've been kind of mean this whole entire video, and I don't want to be a mean guy, so what I'll say is I'll just kind of end this off with some notable things to note. Some bright sides of this thing: it does have the headphone jack. That is a pretty cool thing. You know, not a lot of people can say that now. This device did support it. It did come in a couple storage variants: 16, 32, 64, and 128 gigs. That could be a pro to some of you guys. Maybe you want to get a super small size tablet with like 16 gigs for a super cheap price. That's always a decent, I guess, option. And you know what? That's pretty much where the notable things and the bright sides kind of end. I don't want to be too hard on it, but I'm pretty lenient on a lot of topics. Battery life is one of those things that I love talking about, but when it comes to like a mix of performance and everything, I kind of have to mention these things, and I don't want to like abuse the power that I have of like persuading someone's decision into making a bad decision overall. So what I'll tell you is that right now the iPad mini 2, for some reason, I don't know why, they're still selling for around the $100 mark, a little bit over $100, sometimes even up to like $125, and that's a lot of money. I'll tell you this, I bought my iPad Pro, the 2016 version, not the newest one, but the 2016 version. I barely even use it. I don't even know why I bought it, but I bought that one for like $120, man, and I bought that on eBay. So what I would tell you is, instead of buying an iPad mini 2, if you currently own it, that's perfectly fine, keep it. But I'm saying if you're looking actively for a tablet, the iPad mini 2 is still pretty expensive. Even though it's pretty old, you can get an iPad Pro, the first one or the 2016 one or whatever, for maybe a little bit more, maybe sometimes even a little less. I would recommend going on eBay. That's where I bought mine. I would recommend you going there if you want the cheapest quality one. Now mine didn't come in the best condition, but I wanted to spend the least amount of money on it because I don't even use it. So that's where you can probably find the cheapest one at, that or even Craigslist. Those two options are probably your best bet for finding the cheapest iPad Pros. But if you want to go one step further, I would probably recommend you to getting certified refurbished, especially if you plan on keeping this tablet or device for a little bit longer. The reason being is they're most of the time in better quality. They do sometimes come with warranties as well, and they're super easy to get. They're on Amazon. You don't have to haggle the price or anything or contact anybody. You simply just buy it. It's on Amazon's website. And a lot of people don't even know that Amazon does sell certified refurbished phones. So what I'll do is I'll link the cheapest one I find on Amazon in the link down below. Would be the first link. So if you want to buy it, definitely buy it through that link. And actually a little bit of percentage of that sale comes back to the channel, and we can do more videos like this and do more giveaways. So if you ever plan on buying an iPad or literally anything at all on Amazon, just go purchase it through that link. It costs you no extra money, and it really helps this channel out too. So we would really appreciate that here. But that is pretty much it, man. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button. That'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.